What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to another episode of Puff Drink Talk. We are here with you today with our esteemed guest, Tyler Hull. We'll go around and give him a chance to tell a little bit about himself and his company. As always, I am Dylan.
I'm Hilton.
George.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome to the podcast, Tyler. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
We are glad to finally have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do? And
Absolutely. My name's Tyler Hull. My company is TJ Renovate. And what we do is we specialize in insurance claims. So what that looks like is, any type of water damage, storm damage, fire, theft, vandalism. We'll work directly with your insurance company, put your house back together than it was before. I've been in this industry since 2008. I started at State Farm, worked there for a number of years, also worked at Liberty Mutual, and I got tired of it. So I decided to start my own thing. This next month will actually be our 3-year anniversary. But yeah, we're local here in Round Rock, and like I said, we specialize in insurance claims, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's nice.
that is nice.
You normally bring the house to a better state than what it was before. Normally, that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Whether it's, better flooring, materials, builder grade materials, we run in this all the time. Cabinetry, we usually put in better cabinets. There's a lot of free upgrades, especially when the insurance company's forking up, a good percentage of it. It also gives the homeowner an opportunity to capitalize on the situation too, where they do have a sum of money coming their way from the insurance, and obviously nobody wants to go through that process, but 9 times out of 10, the home is going to be better than what it was before.
Cool. Yeah.
What's something for someone that's like a first-time home buyer going through this process? What's something that you see more often than not in terms of maybe water damage or fire damage?
We've had, I'll give you a perfect example. We had a client out in Manor, first-time home buyer, newly married, and they had just built this home. It was brand new. He's got kind of builder grade spec home type of thing. I think it was KV home. And they were moving in, threw maybe 3 boxes on top of the stove, accidentally bumped the gas stove with their hip, turned the stove on. They left to go get more boxes, came back, and their entire house is on fire.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
So, these people were obviously unfortunate, but, we ended up upgrading flooring, upgraded cabinets, and without a doubt, like within that neighborhood, they have the best house, like in terms of quality and material and all of that. So, we had one come in on Saturday, and clients in Georgetown, they just got married, and were on their honeymoon in Bermuda, came home 8 p.m. on Friday. House had 2 inches of water throughout the entire house.
Oh, shit.
So we went over there, we gutted the whole house to the studs, and that's actually where I just came from. So
I was gonna ask you. There is this one thing, and you've been also in the insurance spectrum, like you've worked before. I've heard that if you install like sensors for water, like to shut off valves with like leak sensors kind of thing, the insurance premium actually goes down, right?
I believe there is, and I don't know all the parameters around the underwriting aspect of it. I do know one thing that we are able to offer on our roofs is we do a class 3 impact resistant or class 4, and that will actually give you, I've heard, up to upwards of $1,000 discount on your premiums per year. So there's not a lot of things you can do that reduces your premiums, but like you mentioned, water sensors, I think more insurance companies are going to that from like preventative measures.
Mm-hmm.
But also the roofing too. Roofing's, in terms of claims filed and the percentage of insurance funds that go towards certain losses, roofs is the top.
Yeah. There's so many roofing replacements right now around us because of all the hail that we have been getting recently. That before it wasn't like that, I remember for 4 years I didn't see any hail or anything, and then from 21, I think, up until now. After I bought my house, we were getting hail. I was like, hey, before when I rented it, there was no hail. Now I have to be worried about this hail and then, putting the cars inside and, worry about the roof being damaged or something like that. It's so annoying because it's like, I'm a homeowner now. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to pay in this high premium in insurance,
Oh, and it's tricky because, we did several roof replacements last year, in Georgetown specifically, and we put on the impact resistant roof. We think that's putting on a bulletproof roof, so to speak. They got hit again 2 months ago, and all those roofs are destroyed. So they're right back to square one a year later. But in terms of I don't know. It's just there's just a lot of activity here in terms of storms, and I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure.
Who carries these warranties? Like the manufacturer of the roof claims that it's going to be fine in like a hailstorm type of thing? Or?
So to get an impact resistant rating, there's specific testing that they have to do. I think it's a ball test. So they take like a metal ball and they drop it from a certain height. And if it holds up, then they consider that an impact resistant roof. The problem is we get big hail here in Central Texas.
Right.
So all bets are off at that point. And, we can put on an impact resistant roof, which will obviously give you the premium discounts, which is everybody's looking for. But in terms of durability, it just depends on storm season, size of hail, etc.
That impact test, we do have that in flooring as well. We do it. We let the ball go. It's a good sized ball, like almost like a hand kind of full, and metal. And then we drop like from 3 feet high, and then we measure the how deep it dents the floor. So that gives the junker rating of the floor. Because that helps with the high heels. Ladies wearing high heels and the hardness of the floor. So it's good as an information for when somebody has a lifestyle. So we cater for that on flooring as well. Yeah, at the factory.
Sure.
A lot of companies do it, but not all of them. Yeah. Charles, do you want to ask any questions? I'm sure they're going to have something to
Charles.
talk about.
Charles. Okay, go ahead. Ask me.
Sorry,
like
not
Jarvis.
Charles. George.
Yes,
Anthony.
Yes, Anthony.
I've been too much with Charles. I've seen Charles like at least on the last 5 days.
Cadillo?
Yeah. On the last 5 days, I spent time with him
Every day.
almost every day from last Tuesday.
Just networking or what?
Not yesterday, the previous week.
Even over the
Networking?
weekend.
NIA stuff? Or?
Networking, his birthday, everything. We just met every single freaking day.
Yesterday being
sorry, George.
and then today. Yeah, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
My wife's having car trouble, so I took it over there. Saw him
Wife?
again. It's like yeah.
Wife.
I know.
That'll get you. You have to get used to that.
It's mysterious. Like Aaron Rodgers just came back from the off season married, no questions asked.
Exactly.
After an ayahuasca trip.
Yeah, I don't even know her name, but we're married. I'm super happy.
Now he's with the Steelers.
I'm interested to see how that goes. Should be an interesting year.
It should be.
So I have a
I knew
more
you had
like
a
a
question.
I gotta. We have to, to have lots of questions, but I would like to be more on your personal point of view on that. Your personal experience. What was the breaking point to leave the corporate world? When did you feel like, no, I'm better off opening my own business? Like giving more to, to everyone locally. When was this? How was this breaking point? And yeah, just share your point of view on that, because I like the idea when this is what America was made for. Maybe you work for corporations. When you get experience, I think you should share your best, give your best to the clients, right? So I would like to know your point of view on that.
That's a great question. It's a great question. working for a corporate company, there's a lot of things that you learn. Customer service being one of them, the technical skills. There was a lot that I learned from State Farm, a lot. But I also saw the money that we were paying to mitigation companies or restoration companies, and seeing the service that they were delivering, and I'm like, man, it can't be that hard, right? And it is hard. It's, the barriers to entry are, I mean, yeah, you could go and try and start a company, but in terms of knowing the game and being able to speak the language, it's night and day. And that's honestly, had I not had that experience, I would not be where I'm at today. I full-heartedly believe that. I grew up from a State Farm family. My dad worked for State Farm. My mom worked for State Farm. So I traveled the country with them through promotions and all that. So naturally, I did it, straight out of college. But I wanted more. I wanted to be able to create something for myself, my family, my daughter. And this was the meal ticket, and it's been almost 3 years next month, like I said. Without a doubt, it's the most rewarding thing ever. Like, being able to go into somebody's house that had a catastrophic loss, they lost everything, like say it's a fire, and be able to build the house back, give them what they want, deliver the customer service, and just help them through that process, because insurance companies don't make it easy. They're always trying to cut corners, to have somebody that specializes in that, knows how to speak the language and negotiate with your insurance company. That's what it's all about. So it was a hard decision, but it was also an easy decision.
I remember then when you started it, because I think I met with Jaime before I met you, right? And but I think one of the I have always had someone, because I come from I'm a second generation manufacturer of flooring in general, wood flooring, right? And wood products. We didn't not only manufacture wood floors, we manufacture any wood products. And we always had business coaches in order to help us understand. When I remember, I was like 13 to 14 years old. I had somebody taking care of the next generation, having meetings on a weekly basis and trying to understand who in the next generation that would be a good fit for taking over the business and working in the business. And I remember that I gave a name to our, because we also did a lot of tire importing as well. So, and I was actually the person who gave the name of the company. Like, that's a freaking good name and it makes sense. And I was like 15 years old, 16 years old. So I always had a business coach, kind of involved, and always believed on, finding help. And I remember that we did coaching together on the mastermind with Dan Dowdy. Shout out to Dan Dowdy, right?
Shout out to Dan Dowdy.
Yeah. And I organized so much things for my company in here that made us better and made the communication with the customer better. And I remember that, you jumped on that straight away, and it was like, that's actually very interesting. And you've grown so much that I'm so impressed by the growth that you brought into the company. And I know that business coach just gives you an opportunity to think of how you can make it better to get your idea off the paper to the world. And you've done it so beautifully. You put it out there, and then you get all your team, that you're growing your team much faster than I can grow, and Dylan, so that we can grow our team. So we have not been able to grow our team the same way as you have done it. So that's awesome, and that's really nice.
I would say the first 2 years I was working in the business. For the first 2 years, grinding it out, just chasing lead after lead. The last year, I've been able to work on the business, and that's a totally different thing. It's a little scary because I'm so used to just wearing all the hats. I'm the sales guy, the project manager guy, the accounts receivable guy, and to be able to step back from that just a little bit. I'm still working in the business, but to be working on the business is kind of where I'm at now, and I think that's honestly why we've scaled up over the last year.
Let me ask you, is that more of just trusting the people around you to do the things that you were doing, and maybe you do it a certain type of way, and that's the scary part, right? Is trusting that it's going to get done the same way.
Nobody's going to do it as good as you.
Yeah.
But you do have to you have to trust the process, man.
Yep.
And you have to let people fail forward. And that's something that we've taken a risk on a lot of different people. Some have worked out, some haven't.
Yeah.
But that's just the gamble that you take if you're trying to scale your company, especially in a sales role, right?
I forget who it was. I don't think it was Ben Shapiro. It was somebody. It was like, when you're growing, you have to hire fast and fire faster, because you have to go through people and find out if they're going to work for the role that you want them to do. And it's this weird process of giving someone power to run things and then taking it back away, and then finding someone else and doing that. But you have to keep firing faster than you're hiring, because you're going through people to figure out if it's going to work. But that's the part of scalability that I think is stressful. It's hard to find people that are knowledgeable in your field, whatever that is. It could be windows, roofing, flooring, anything. The time it takes to train someone on a specific thing versus bring someone in that already knows, there's a huge difference in that. But also the amount of power that you give somebody that knows everything already, to me, is a little scarier than bringing someone in and teaching them everything you know, because at least I can control what you know and the way you're going about it. But when you're bringing someone in that has a lot of experience, I just have to trust that you're going out and representing my business the way I want you to. And that's a scary thing. And for y'all, it's a little different than us, because you handle more than one thing. It's not like we just do floors. Granted, we do technically more than just floors, but you do way more than just floors. That's not the scope of your work. So you have to find someone that has knowledge in multiple fields and just knows, in a sense, general contracting, the way plumbing should work, electrical should work, flooring, roofing, a little bit of design work. They can't, oh yeah, you could put that in. It's got to be the right color. It's just, there's levels.
I totally agree. You're looking for a unicorn, which
it's hard.
It is hard, and you got to find somebody with at least checks majority of the boxes, whether that's just their want to, like they're highly motivated, or from what at least two people that we've hired that have really worked out are prior adjusters. They've been on the insurance side of it. They know that game. Maybe they don't know how to sell quite well yet, but you get them, and we've done this with a couple different people now, where we put them in a project management role. They get to come in, they get to learn the communication aspect, how the materials work, how the subs work, how scheduling works, and they get to understand how the business works. And once they get comfortable with that, then you kind of start pushing them into the deep end. It's like, okay, now that you have all these tools, now you can maybe try and sell, because that's where the money's at, right?
Oh, yeah. That's the right way of doing it. You want to get somebody that understands things from the ground up. But when you hire someone for sales, it's like, for us, it's different, right?
Yeah.
So you want to bring someone in for sales, like the best thing we can offer is, I'm going to give you an awesome commission percentage, but you have to go out and find the jobs. Or you can sell the things that we bring in, but you're not going to make a ton of money, So it's that caveat between the two. But the way I started was through project managing. Was coming in, diving into stuff that I probably didn't fully understand, and just learning. And then every day a new problem pops up. something over here happens, something over there happened, and you're learning a solution to a new problem every day. Then you do that for a couple of years, you've learned a lot. Now you're kind of ready for sales. Translating that from someone, because I think our industry would do very well with young, driven gentlemen. You know, it could be women too, but just young, driven people that, because this industry lacks, I mean, there's a shortage of drivers for freight companies, 18-wheelers, but there's a big shortage for trades, people that want to do this type of work. If you come in and you learn, it's not a short road before you can start selling, and you make way more money selling and build up the clientele. So I think that's kind of what he was getting at, is there's a long road to getting there, but we've seen from the outside looking in, your company has been growing and bringing in people that match the values and the things that you're trying to bring to the world with your business, but it's working, and it's working really well. You are growing. You are getting a lot of business. We're getting business from you guys that every year we're seeing more. It's like,
yeah.
I remember.
Let's keep it growing.
I remember one of the conversations that we've had with our coach, that we were like, hey, but how do I get someone in the team that I can teach to be really part of the team, but then don't go off, right, on their own and then be a competitor? Remember that we had that discussion. That was hard for every single entrepreneur. They have that fear of like, hey, I can get like a diamond rock and make it a very nice diamond in a shape to put it on a ring or something like that. It's beautiful, lots of value to it, and then they go off, and then I lost that person. Do you know what I mean?
Start their own company.
Yeah, they start their own company, become competitors, and but you did not hold back. You went on and did it nevertheless.
I would encourage somebody that works for me to go off and try and start their own business, because
see how hard it is. It's not easy.
It's not easy. Can they do it? Absolutely. But my goal, part of my job, is employee retention. And whether that's incentivizing them, whether that's just communicating with them, whether that's making them feel like they're owner without necessarily being an owner.
Just feel valued.
Yes. And listening to them and being a brother to them. And, you know, because if you go out and you start your own company, I mean, you're going to start from scratch, right? And I know that the core people that work with me right now are all bought in. One person's different from the other, but
yeah,
employee retention is just it's what I value. You know, if you come and work for me, you're gonna be part of my family. It's a family business, and if you leave, I'll support you. I'm not gonna be upset. We've had people that have left and started their own company. I don't wish any bad things upon them. I'll, give you a thumbs up on Facebook when you guys post something. Like I'm not here to just say that you can't go out and do that. But I feel like we do things different, and I think proof is in the pudding.
It's a big step to jump into like entrepreneurship, and we've touched on it probably a little bit here. What's one of the things that you've enjoyed the most about it? I think one has definitely been freedom of schedule. And as you mentioned, the first couple of years you're working in the business instead of on the business, but now having the opportunity to work on the business, has it opened up some doors for you to be able to do some things that...
Absolutely. But you're buying your time back. I mean, that's part of it. Flexibility is big, but you got to be dialed in every day. I mean, that's honestly, from an entrepreneurial aspect, showing up
every day.
That's literally 80-90% of it. Like, you just show up every day, and it's a game of inches. It's not like miles. You're not going to start a business and all of a sudden you're going to be doing millions in sales, but it's a game of inches. You just keep moving it, and next thing you know, you're 100 yards down the road. And in today's world, delayed gratification.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. And most people do not like that. Everything, this whole, social media and everything, just instant gratification.
Yep. You got people that enjoy ripping off big corporations. Like, it's Amazon, they can afford it. So I'm going to buy something and say it was never delivered and get my money back. And people enjoy that. So they hate the fact that people could start a small business and be successful at it. Now I have time. My business is running. I've put people in place, and I can go out and golf a couple days a week, or maybe I can golf every day of the week. I think that's fucking awesome. Like, you've done well enough and made your business in a place where you can go and do that. And other people look at that as like, that's so repulsive that the owner, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's just a different way of viewing things, that I don't think it matters whether you're a big corporation or a small business. If you've done the right things to make the business work for you, and as you said, buy your time back, that is something I think everybody should strive towards. Like, that's a goal everybody should have, is to work on something that makes you money so you can go and do something else while you're still making money passively in the background. That should be everybody's goal.
And you're helping people, right? So you're not only helping yourself as a business owner, because you have people working with you that are also making money. They're also supporting their families. And exactly, they're making it worthwhile. And not only that, but I also have to say, being a business owner at the beginning, unless you are nice and very successful, right? You have flexibility, but you end up working more, because any
Absolutely.
time left that you have, you are working on the business. You are putting together a spreadsheet, you're putting together an analysis of data, you are seeing customers on weekends, that normally, an employee wouldn't do it. Because, hey, it has to be done. Because if I leave that, you can choose to do that on a Monday or on a Tuesday. But if you do that, you know it's going to be cutting the time of what you had already planned for something that is more important for the business. So it's a long drive. I'll go on a Sunday. Less traffic is a shorter drive.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a long drive, but it's a shorter time frame. But you may prefer to do that on a Sunday, even though it's supposed to be on a free time. But it's getting you free time on a Monday, on a Tuesday, that you can sit down, relax, and put a nice plan together for the business. So, on ownership, those kind of things happen until you have a great team that you don't have to do that anymore. But it's still, you don't want to force your team to do the same what you do, right? Because nobody wants to do that on a Sunday, but you as a business owner, you're like, yeah, I'll go and do it. I'll have fun doing it.
But to get the let's just call them a sales rep, to get them to want to go out on a Sunday, because they know that's how I'm going to land this job.
Mm-hmm.
And once they're incentivized, once they understand, like, if I do go and do this, there's a direct result from me going out and taking the time out of my Sunday or Saturday or whatever it is, Friday night for me.
Well, the truth is, if you don't, more than likely someone else will.
You're exactly right.
Yeah,
they're calling you on a Sunday because the competitors said Monday. So if you can go Saturday or Sunday, now you're giving yourself a little bit of an advantage. And you don't even have to be the cheapest, but I was willing to spend a Sunday with you.
Plus, it sets you apart.
It sets you apart. It definitely does.
I've got a funny story, though. So when I was in college, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I told her eventually I want to start a company. And she told me, there's no way you would ever be able to start a company.
Yeah.
I'm 41 now. I think I was 21 at the time. 20 years later, it's still in my brain. Somebody told me I couldn't do something. I'm like, fuck you. I will
do it.
Reminds me, my mom sent me this video a couple weeks ago, Steve Harvey, and he, growing up, had a really bad speech impediment. And he had a dang class where everybody had to say what they wanted to do when they were older and put it down on a piece of paper and show the whole class. And his was, I want to be on TV. but he couldn't even read on paper, "I want to be on TV." It would come out like, "I want," he just had a really bad speech impediment. And she got him up in front of the entire class and berated him and embarrassed him in front of everybody. Now he's Steve Harvey. He's on TV all the time. So every single year on Teacher's Day or whatever it is, he sends her a flat screen TV as a gift to remind her, like, hey, no matter what channel you're on, you're going to find me. I'm always on TV. It's just one of those things. Like, someone tells you you can't do something, it gives you a little bit extra energy to find a way to do it.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Great. You know, that's kind of thing. It's what you. Hey, it's a competition now. You know, it's the gamification of everything.
I took it personally.
Yeah.
MJ, man. Yeah. You took
What
it
about
personally.
entrepreneurship and being a father? So do you try and instill some of those values in your kiddo and let her know, like, hey, you don't have to work for corporate America, you know? You could have your own business.
I think my daughter is going to create her own path, to be honest with you. Like, she's in elementary school, so we'll take it.
Her whole life.
We'll take it with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
Which grade?
she's going into 4th grade.
Okay.
Okay.
And the thing about Kendall, I just said her name, but she is
Because that if you want.
incredibly smart. Just took a STAR test. She's placing 99%. She's reading at a 9th grade level.
Damn. Nice.
So I think she's going to create her own path. But I do love the aspect of her seeing her father just go out and grind, go out and meet with clients, like do something different than a lot of, because I was kind of forced into the corporate world,
Right.
because it's what I knew, right? But to have like an outlet to see somebody be an entrepreneur and have some success, I think is a good balance for her.
That's why I asked, because my mom she works for the city of Austin, and my dad was a banker, and I just watched them do that their whole lives. And I watched my mom's brothers, just family members, create their own path through real estate, through owning flooring companies, now owning vineyards, and just owning businesses and creating your own path. And that always appealed to me. But no one in my family had ever gone the entrepreneurial route. But I think growing up, it's not like pressure that you have to do it, but you're seeing something that gives you a thought, It's like, maybe I could do that. It's just another thing to think about as you're progressing, because everybody thinks, I got to go to college, I got to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. These are my paths. But it's sometimes it's hard to align with that. It's hard to, like, who is super interested in that day in, day out? There's only a select few people. It's not really just an intelligence thing. It's being intrigued by it. Like, you could be smart enough to be a doctor. Do you really want to study vessels in the arms for 2 months,
I think a lot of people are risk adverse.
They are?
They don't want to take that risky, just all the chips on the table. And I grew up, no entrepreneurs in my entire family. Everybody like worked for the railroad or State Farm or etc. And I always wanted to do something, but I really didn't know how to do it. And like I said, going back to experience, like having that in my toolbox, like just it's been easily the best thing that's ever happened to me.
You might have said that. Where were you born?
I was born in Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, I was born in St. Joseph, Missouri. And then we moved to Salina, Kansas. We moved to San Diego, California. We moved to Jacksonville, Florida. We moved to Lincoln and Texas. So
You remained a Chiefs
Lincoln,
fan along the way?
Lincoln, Nebraska?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's where I went to college, too.
I visited. I've been there. Yeah, a friend of mine was a professor
Nebraska.
at the University of Nebraska.
Okay.
Brazilian. Yeah.
The Cornhuskers.
Home of Warren Buffett.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done well for himself, huh?
Some would say.
My history is a little bit different. I don't know if you know, but yes, in my family I have people that work for government, police officers, archbishops, like church. But the family that I was more around when I was a kid, it was the wood business. My dad, of course. and my uncles. So I always had that. But for example, my brother, today he works for the government. So he does tax, he investigation kind of thing for companies and whatnot.
In Brazil?
Yes, my sister works for Expedia Group. So she lives in UK, and she's a VP of development in at Expedia Group. So hotels.com, Expedia.com, and VRBO and whatnot.
Yeah.
So she's very often here, which is great because then I get to see my sister multiple times of the year because she comes and spends time like a week. She goes to work, but she spends the night with us, and I take her to work, and then I come over here, to the showroom. But I'm the only in my inner family, like mom, dad, and
family.
and brothers, brother and sister. I'm the only one that is still carrying the entrepreneurship, I would say, venue or line, right? And but I have a lot of cousins that they still own their own companies. Like I have a cousin of mine that it's the same thing. So he owns the largest finishing touches on constructions online website, right, in Brazil. So it's bigger than Amazon in Brazil. So you have an idea, and it's the biggest Google account in Brazil, right? It's a unicorn. They like over $1 billion and this kind of things. Huge company, and he runs that company. And I also have two cousins that one own a factory, the other one runs the operations and sales in the US of a different factory, which we get a lot of flooring from, of our exotic line, right? But I'm the only one that is still continue because I had that. And my sister often tells me, is like, you are the most courageous person that I know. And I was like, I just like people. I love being around people. I love seeing people grow and succeed. I've helped so many people in business, people that I didn't think that they would be able to own a business. Like, hey, do this, do that. They sometimes I find myself a little bit like on the back foot because like, hey, I tell you to do something and you go and do it and it works, and then I didn't do that yet, and I should do what I said. Do you know what I mean? And then I go and do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why didn't I do that before? Because I know that is in there. Because as I mentioned a little earlier, like I've been in business, like owning a business since I was 17 years old. So I'm 48 right now. So it's been a little while. So, but yes, my path is a little different, and I still sustain and maintain that idea of like being able to run a business and meet more and more people, and yeah. But I have another question for you. So, like, what is the best hobby that you find yourself to relieve to
That's gonna lead into my next question.
Yeah, to get off stress of the complicated life of entrepreneurship? Like, what is it that you do for fun?
Two things. Three things, actually. Number one is the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym several times a week. It's my time to just... And I walk to my gym. My gym is a 15-minute walk, so I can answer phone calls or just kind of just start decompressing a little bit. That's hands down my biggest escape. Obviously, being a father and all of that, like that obviously factors into a lot of my life. And then the other one is camping with my daughter. So I've got a little RV that we go out to Lake Georgetown. We'll go out there for a weekend and just hang out and just disconnect. So those are the three things in my life that my three escapes, we'll put it that way.
What about just to be candid, I'm speaking for myself here. What would you recommend for somebody getting into golf? It's a caveated question, but where do I start? Do I go to the
We want to
driving
get
range?
into golf. That's why.
That's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question, but let me add some context. We bought some clubs. So we want to get out there and get more involved.
Mm-hmm.
Should I start at a driving range? Should I start at a golf simulator? Or should we just go book some tee time and just go do it?
No, don't start with that.
Don't start with course time.
No,
That's why I'm asking. So this is a good question.
practice.
On a driving range.
I would recommend doing it on a driving range. A golf simulator it's good, but it's no substitute for real life conditions, hitting off grass.
Wind, weather, everything. Hitting off grass.
Just hitting off grass. I mean, it's totally different than hitting off of a mat. Like, I started playing golf. I played high school golf, actually. But just getting out, go to the driving range. It's cheaper than playing a $100 round here in Austin. I don't know where you guys are thinking about playing, but,
we haven't given it much thought. We bought a set of golf clubs and then
We bought a net.
Yeah.
We bought a net that we assemble here in the warehouse. Have you seen it?
yeah.
And then
it's more for fun, really.
yeah,
It's not
we
gonna
hit it, but
make
it's
us
not the same
better.
thing.
It's just fun. That's like wondering where should we start? Should we just find a local driving range and just start hitting?
I would start at the driving range. I mean, for you guys, Avery Ranch is pretty decently close. Terra Vista's in Round Rock, and those are like sister companies. They own. I think there's 3 of them. There's Terra Vista, Avery Ranch, and
like Crystal Falls.
no, it's not. It's
I'm-
not Crystal
we maybe go
Falls.
to Terra Vista for free because I have a friend who lives there.
Well, the one in Crystal Falls area, I wouldn't even mind driving that far either, because I know they have a driving range. And
Avery Ranch is closer, and Terra Vista might be even closer. But they have some cool technology too, because it's not just, hey, I'm gonna go out to the driving range and just hit it. They have like the golf tracker, so you can actually see on a screen your specific how far you hit that ball,
altitude,
Correct.
everything.
golf, swing speed and all of that. Which
Well, we want to get more into these little tournaments that are going on. Last year, we just did some volunteer work, and I said, hey, I don't want to fucking sit here and measure everybody's ball. I want to go fucking hit the ball, smoke a cigar, drink some beer. Like I don't care if I don't win the whole thing, but I want to play. But I don't want to hinder my team because I'm so fucking bad. No one wants to be on the same team as me. So
you just have to pick the right team, though.
well, so we're a team, and we need 2 other people that are willing to fucking play with us because we're new.
Yeah, we
But
suck.
I'm like, how do we get some time and some experience? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't expect someone to pick us up on the next scratch tournament, but I'd like to get some experience in, and I see how much fun everybody has. I know a lot of like family members that play. Like, man, I never got into it. I grew up with a single mom that never even wanted me playing football. So for me playing sports at all, I had to argue like, no, I'm gonna play fucking sports. I played basketball, I played football. I never got into golf, and so I'm still, developing my swing.
The beautiful thing about golf is you can play it forever.
That's what I like about
It's
it.
one of the very few sports that you can play.
That and pickleball, right?
My dad's going to
I was just about to say that.
pickleball, bowling, but my dad's going on a golf trip next week, I think, to Canada. They do like a yearly type of deal. One of the guys going on the trip is 88 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And how old is your dad?
67.
Okay.
But they play golf every day,
Yeah.
or at least try to, and pickleball, like you said.
Pickleball's a big one. I just went on my pre-wedding honeymoon out of order, and at the Sandals Resort, they just put a brand new pickleball court. Every single day, you couldn't find a time to get on that pickleball court. It was packed.
It's the new sport.
5 to 7 couples out there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The lights come on. They're staying out there all night. So
Pickleball is irresistible, man. Yeah,
I'm having a hard time.
I've been talking to people from Europe, South America. They all resistant to that. They're using my tennis court for that. They're using this space and that and this.
Yeah.
Now there's like 100 courts being built on old settlers.
Yeah.
You know,
Round Rock, yeah.
well, man, just do something that it that includes kids from 5 and elderly is at 85. If you build a sport, most of the sports that we enjoy, man, those guys are superheroes. They are like they have superpowers. I mean, I can't dunk. I mean, I can throw a ball 70 yards, like a football 70 yards, so
Try.
pickleball, you can do it, so in South America, paddle is big now, but people are just resisting to that. They can't resist to that.
You have I'm telling you. So Sam bought me a pickleball set for Christmas. I can't find a pickleball court that's not packed to go just learn how to play.
Georgetown early in the Saturday. Yeah, I've taken my girls there. They just love it.
To the rec center?
Yeah, because I bought a starter kit.
Clay Madsen.
They just love it. They just love it. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
$150 a year for Tamir's and I, and we can play pickleball almost every day.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's like a Hulu subscription.
It is.
Go play pickleball. Yeah.
The deal I like about golf, though, is even if you're not good at it, we can still have a good time. We're in the cart together. If I take out a client or, we go out and play. I get to talk to you. I get to learn more about
Bonding.
you. Yes.
That's another important caveat, too, where there's a handicap, right? So golf is one of the few sports you have someone out that obviously is not as good. You just give them a bigger handicap. That's still something that we're learning because we suck. We're just not that good. But I'd like to get better. I wonder how that translates. Do you go out to shooting ranges ever? Do you like to shoot guns?
Yeah, absolutely. I went out to. Have you guys been to the Staccato Ranch?
Yes.
Yeah, they're frequent visitors, actually.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we've been there.
Just last week, actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to
guys-
make it.
Did you guys have a Staccato?
Yes.
His buddy has
You
like
do have a staccato.
7
Oh
staccatos.
no, I don't have.
Oh.
Their buddy has like 7.
5.
He wants-
He's got 5 staccatos.
But how Luan has one.
Luan has one.
But
yeah.
he goes there like 3 times a
I'm just saying
week, I think.
he's
No,
probably
no.
purchased 7 to 10 staccatos.
No. Spock, he's got 5. And I don't want to say prices in here because
Yes.
may compromise his wife.
Know the price.
They're
They're not cheap.
we don't say prices over here.
You know the
but-
price.
Toys, man, toys.
I do know the price, and
Yeah.
the reason I know a price, and I'm gonna say somebody's name. Nathan Winstead invited me to go out to the ranch and do a tour of the facility.
Mhm.
Unbelievable, man!
Mhm.
It's out in Florence, and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Nowhere.
And you go out there, and it's like almost like a city.
And the factory is in there.
The factory's there.
Yeah.
We did a whole tour of their CNC, and I mean, they take like a block of metal, whether it's steel or aluminum. They have 2 different versions, right?
Mill it out.
And they stick it in this one machine, and I think it takes 24 hours for that one piece to come out. And then it goes on to the next, and on to the next, and the level of preciseness, separates Staccato from literally everybody else. Because I have a Kimber, and I told the guy that was doing the tour, he's like, "Oh, you got a Kimber? That's cool, but you've never seen a Staccato."
When you shoot with a staccato and then you aim and you freaking hit the target, and it's like, how did I hit that target? You know what I mean? It's like, also the ammo, it's so much better. It's incredible.
It is better.
Yeah, it's like awesome. It's a different thing, But yeah, it costs more money.
And I like the analogical one, not the one with the aim, like electronic.
You like
aim.
the red dot?
Yeah, I prefer that
You like
one.
the more digital.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
There's a difference between like when you get brass shells versus stainless steel, like how much carbon it produces when it fires. So you use better ammo, it keeps your gun cleaner longer. This is my daily carry is a Glock. I just happen to have it on the desk because I would not. That's one of those things. I go on measures and I'm like, maybe people don't want me in their house with a gun. I don't know. You know what I mean? And
Probably not.
It's
I asked my friend.
if you don't see me with a gun, then it makes no difference. Like if you never know, but most of the time it's getting hotter and I'm wearing less clothes. I'm like, I'll leave the gun at the office. You know,
I
there's no
asked
reason
our-
to spook anybody.
Or
On
the
my
truck.
birthday, I asked Arthur how he felt when you showed him that you had a gun on you.
Me?
Yeah, like on last
In my
Saturday.
house.
Yeah, in your house.
Oh,
So-
Arthur didn't like that, huh?
No. He loved it, but he was
Oh.
like apprehensive at
Yeah.
first, because back in Brazil, when you talk about guns, it's associated with violence, it's associated with killing, it's associated with, crime. And then when you come here, you see that it's actually a bond between a father and their kids. America was built based on that, especially Texas. So I changed it. Completely changed my mind on how to perceive that and not to judge. I would see a gun and I would flee. That's what I would do back in Brazil. I don't care if it's a friend of mine carrying, but now I feel, I feel protected.
Feel safe.
I feel safe.
I
feel
feel more
safe.
safe. I really do.
Yeah. That's.
I would say I think Hilton likes the fact that I always have a gun on me, and pretty much anywhere we go, if we're together, he knows for a fact he's protected.
Nobody's gonna mess with us.
But
Not that, but
it's not that.
It's
Of
not
course
that,
it's-
but it's
Of
at
course,
least
it's not
joke.
that, man.
it's the feeling that knowing that if anything happens, we have at least one way of protecting ourselves.
Correct. I carry in my backpack.
Yeah.
And one thing, just let me tell you something. One thing is that people here are trained to use it.
Yeah.
Like if you have a gun and you're not trained, it's a liability.
Well, you're
It's a
already at a
liability to you
deficit.
because you
But-
like you got a bullet and then you
Well,
don't
there-
know how to aim, you don't know how to shoot.
That's one aspect of it because it's scenario drives everything. Does somebody already have you at gunpoint? You're never gonna pull your gun faster
Oh,
than
no.
someone can pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things that go into play. You don't get cut off and then pull your gun on somebody to brandish it because you're pissed. But there are young kids that don't care about those things. So it's just a divisive topic. I think everybody should own a gun, has the right to own a gun, but I also think everybody should understand, what comes with that to a degree.
The responsibility.
But you can ask Hilton. That was kind of more outside of my character than most times. I don't really just show anybody my gun, and I live by this sword, and I die by this sword, but you're a gun owner. I like guns. Your first line of defense is never letting anyone know that you like guns. Something out in the world happens, and you think, oh, there's Dylan, that fucking nerd kid that likes math, and I would love for you to think that. The last person I want you to think of that has a gun, so that when I have my gun, it's like no one's prepared for it. That's the best thing you could ever do.
And if you know math, you know how to calculate how the bullet's gonna go up and then go down.
The drop.
Yeah.
Parabola, yeah,
The wind.
yeah. But on the flip side of that, there's other people that think it's real cool to. I don't think it's cool to tell everybody you have a gun. I think the best part of owning a gun is no one else has to know you have a gun. Because the idea is that you're using it when you have to, because you need to, and it's a last case scenario.
They call it concealed for a reason.
Yeah, but now we have this constitutional carry in
Breach.
Texas, which I'm in favor for. I agree with that, but it's opening the door to 21-year-olds. Like, hey, I'm 21, I can buy a gun, I can just stick it in my pocket, and they don't really look into gun safety. And they get mad and they pull a gun. There's just certain scenarios where doing that puts you in way more harm's way than it does just carrying the gun concealed in the first place.
But how about a kid with 16 years old with a truck? That's a gun. That's
Yeah, it's
a
dangerous.
terrible gun. I was at
Well-
Clay Madison the other day. The 16-year-old just like spinning. I know it can harm people. And
yeah, I can. I mean, how old do you have to be to go buy an axe from Home Depot, though?
Exactly.
Or a lawnmower?
yes,
A chainsaw. We've
chainsaw,
seen
yeah,
some
yeah.
movies with a chainsaw, right?
Or a knife. A knife.
So his brother-in-law was here at our last event and was perplexed by the size of my pocket knife. I said, man, you don't want to know what else I have. It's like everywhere you go, you have
It's pretty
that-
funny.
You have that knife? Who are you hanging out with? Hilton. Everywhere I go, I have a pocket knife, but I have way more than just a pocket knife
But
everywhere
that's a
I go.
perception. That's a perception.
But
Like
he's-
you are going to use the gun to hurt somebody. You're
But
going to
he's
use the
here
gun
from
for
the UK.
violence. Yeah, but
no,
still.
I'm here to protect myself, not from you, from something that may never even happen, which to some people sounds crazy.
Mhm. The art of war,
I don't
man.
want to live as a victim. I
Mhm.
don't. Something happens, I want to be prepared. But that doesn't mean somebody says I'm ugly or they don't like my haircut and I pull a gun on them. Like, there's just a huge, vast difference, but that's the way some people look at that. So
Road rage.
road rage is a big deal. That's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Someone,
I mean-
and there's studies on that. So you're driving at 70 miles an hour. Your heart rate's more elevated. Someone cuts you off. You want to kill them, not because they cut you off. Your heart rate's fucking elevated.
Mhm.
So everything that happens is a huge deal because you're under stress. In reality, not that big of a deal.
And-
Drive better.
That's my only
Drive
that-
around people.
That's my only caveat to that is that people should be more trained. You know, there should be a mental tests or examination from time to time, you know, like to make sure that you can really carry a gun, you know, especially in the environment we are living now. This political divide, definitely this war,
get in
political
trouble.
divide going on. What's that?
I'm going to get in trouble for agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I've got
I-
a lot of right-wing friends that
I
hate
agree.
that.
I agree with you on that front, but anytime you introduce government into
Oh, yeah.
possibly
What do I say to you all the
controlling,
time?
possibly controlling your access to weapons,
You're
is,
opening a door.
is literally step one for them taking it away from you.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It happened in Brazil. Everybody, my dad used to own a gun, you know, back in the 80s, and then now it doesn't anymore. And nobody in Brazil now, and in Brazil now, the perception of any gun ownership, it means that you're a bandit. And that is down to regulations
Balance.
around gun, and it's bad because you see people now in Brazil, if you are corrupt, if you are a bandit, you have more rights than a good person.
You can ask Hilton. Have I not told you that exact same thing?
Mhm.
That's the number one reason why people on the right, such as myself, don't want to vote for anything that changes these laws, because you're opening the door to changing things in the future. Do I really, in my heart of heart, think it's crazy to treat it like a driver's license? Maybe once every year, once every few years, you got to go in and do tests. I don't think that is that crazy.
Mhm.
However, by opening the door and making that an addendum, now it's that much easier the next time. I don't want anyone to have guns. Or you can have guns, but you can't have this type of gun. You can't have this.
Right.
The second you give them an inch, they take a mile. So my side of the community is very... I don't even know if strict is... They're just on guard. Like, you don't want to give anybody anything. But if you're arguing, like, semantics of is it a good idea or not, it's not a bad idea. It's just we know the way government works.
There
And
is
you
one.
can't give them control.
There is one saying in Brazil that you got to be careful because sometimes you give somebody a hand. So what does it say? When you give somebody a hand, you are helping that person, right?
Yeah.
So
Take your ass.
Give
they
them an inch, they take a mile.
yeah. Oh, they
Give
take a
them
mile.
your
outside.
hand, they take your ass.
They take your
In
arm.
Brazil is an arm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand and arm.
Well, I just
an
assumed you're all
analogy.
sexual freaks. I assumed it was something dirty.
Yeah, it could be, yes.
Come
We
on.
are all perverts in Brazil.
Is
you
that a
know?
good time for us to end the podcast?
Oh yeah, you can't go to a beach without a Speedo on, and now you're acting all shy.
The girls
Tyler,
with tongs and the guys with the speedos.
You have to come back because I have got a lot of questions, a lot of things that I think we have to learn from you, from all your experience. You know, I took notes a lot of things here, so I'm gonna keep this next time you come, please. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did because it was a great ride.
Well, this is the first time we ever had Tyler on, so it's the first opportunity for you to talk about. We talked more about business than anything else. I think you want to come on in the future, we can talk about
Other
literally
things.
anything. We could talk about ostrich farming. We could talk about he was an ostrich farmer. Believe it or
They
not,
bring it up every single podcast.
this dude
And-
used to
About
farm
my-
ostriches.
and
He beat PK, a Formula One race driver. A pilot from
please
Brazil.
explain to us what is
It's,
He
that?
beat him in a race.
What is that?
This is
His
a trophy when I beat Nelson Piquet on a race. And Nelson Piquet is a 3 times Formula One world champion, and I beat him in 1994.
It's like dunking on Karl Malone's face.
I have a funny story.
Yeah, I dunked on LeBron.
In elementary school, I struck out Tony Gwynn Jr., who's now a professional baseball player.
See that?
Nice.
That's that, but in the world of
Perfect
Formula
analogy.
One.
Perfect analogy.
It's a perfect analogy. That's what that
Yes.
is. But
We should turn to that camera. Comment.
we thank you guys very much for watching. Next time we will hopefully have Conrad back on. He's been missing for the past 48 hours. We can't get a hold of him, so we'll see what happens.
No, he's on his
Just
birthday.
kidding.
His son's
Just
birthday.
kidding, guys.
He's on his son's
son's
birthday.
got a birthday.
I miss you, Conrad.
But we'll see you next time. We hope that you please subscribe,
Comment.
Like.
share with a friend, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.